machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. It's plain and simple, dear. I'll still be here when you're gone. You gather souvenirs, but I will never be your pawn.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. John Lithium, Etchbox, Good for Gabby, Hazemaker, Heat, how's it going? Michael Hasser, Sandy, Mayhem Hippie, Bad Lefty, Kirkenstein's Monster. Welcome, everybody. Hola. Echo Resto Dragon, welcome. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for also being there yesterday for the episode on this space. I really appreciate you guys showing up. Thank you. Thank you, Heat. I also saw you in chat. I appreciate that. I totally forgot the time. No worries. I'm glad I saw you in the chat there. Mouselander, welcome. I'm tired too, folks. I'm not gonna lie. I'm tired too. I did forget too. Nah, that's all good. Did not look into the mushroom cloud, guys. No. No. That would be a bad idea. Although I suppose if you do, you can just kind of put your thumb at it. Pumping iron. The Swoletariat. The Swoletariat. Diddy verdict just came down. Yes. I believe he was I believe he was acquitted of the more serious charges and found guilty of the other charges. If it's taller than your thumb, you need to get further away. It was disgusting in my opinion. Yep. Basically, from my understanding of the situation, and Chad can correct me if I'm wrong, from my understanding of the situation, the defense relied on basically shredding the two victims that went to testify against him. Guilty of transporting across state lines for prostitution. That's it. That's what it was. Yes. Which even that in and of itself is yikes. Yikes. I'm so behind on the news. Well, we can catch up right now. We got plenty. We got plenty. News isn't going anywhere. News isn't going anywhere. You know, it's important to disconnect sometimes. In a healthy manner. All right, folks. Somebody said something about a drink. Let me go grab my drink and then we'll get started, yeah? That fire hose of news. It's so constant. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's just like constant, just like, all right, well, what kind of dumpster fire are we walking into today? And sure enough. Sure enough. Also in world news, it was recently determined that the institution of the Dalai Lama will continue. Yes, I vaguely read something about that. The only charge I can understand him being found not guilty is on the RICO racketeering charge. To be clear, I would have found him guilty, but I can see why he got off on that one. But the rest, no. Yeah, I mean, he should have been cooked. It's not great, but I mean, he should have been completely cooked. In any case, let me go grab my drink and I'll be right back. Before we get started, folks, thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support. Your support it's what makes this channel go. Thank you to Mayhem Hippie for the tier 1 sub and the 40 biddies. I appreciate that. If you want to support the channel directly, there are a couple of different ways of doing so, folks. Check out the merch store, hit that exclamation mark tip. Substack, join the Discord if you want to keep up with the channel. And also hang out with us on this space. We are there on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Ladybug, welcome. Could still get 20 years for the 2 charges. Yeah, but to me, that's him getting off easy. That's maybe I should have just that's the sentiment that I was trying to convey. For me, that is him getting off easy. I reckon they should look into the jury members' finances. It's amazing what money can buy you, including freedom, apparently. Well, I mean, he's not... It's still bad for him. It's still bad. It's just not as bad for him as it should have been. I don't know if that makes sense, but you get the point. 1 second, folks. I will be right back. Let me just get set up here. There you go. We'll leave you on the Google screen. $10 top on each to be served concurrently at the same time. Not gonna lie, I think he could be back on the street within 2 years. Oof. If that happens, that is a travesty. That fake ladybug person. I can assure you she's real. I can assure you she's real, unless none of you are real. In which case, I'm just talking to myself. Oh, I understand, Bad Lefty. Ain't real. I'm just talking. Are we real? I don't know, chat. You tell me. Or maybe it's me who isn't real. And what you guys are watching right now isn't real. How about that one? Yeah, this is all a simulation. We're all real, but this isn't Earth. It's hell. Yep. Are we in the bad place? This is the bad place. This is the bad place, I'm afraid. You're all bots, but what if I'm the bot? What if in reality it turns out that I've been AI this entire time? John Lithium, I am real, my handle says so. I just realized I'm not real and fade away into the ether. Sounds nice. Is anything real? First the birds, then us, then ADT? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows if the stream you're watching is actually indeed real? I mean, how do you know that? Shit got dark. Bunch of doomers. Yep. Speaking of hell and the bad place.
So thanks to this decision, we can now...
Yeah, how do we define real? That's exactly it. Fantastic follow-up question, right? Fantastic follow-up question. I mean, this soda feels real. Tastes pretty real. Is it? I don't know. I'm registering sensory input that this is a cold soda. I can hold it. And when I drink it, I can taste it. But that's about as much as I can tell. Rome is burning. We're all just here shit talking because the world is burning. Seriously. Honestly, like this is exactly it. Defining what is real, defining reality itself, pondering whether or not this non-sugary soda is actually real. Bozy, Rome is burning indeed. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Am I here? Are you? Whether it's real or not, we are in it, so we got a deal. True. It's real to us. Yes. That's right. Speaking of hell and the bad place, we are definitely in it.
Properly filed to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people. We have so many of them. I have a whole list.
Well, as you heard, Donald Trump has a whole list of illegal and unconstitutional things that he plans to do now that the Supreme Court has effectively given him king-like power to override the U.S. Constitution. And yes, you
I
heard
need a
that.
trigger warning before he speaks. Yeah, that's true. That one's on me. I've been ignoring the news today, so please pardon my reactions. Oh, it's all good. Don't worry. We'll catch you up. We'll catch you up on all the horrific stuff that's happening.
Correctly, and it's not hyperbole. So let me explain. On Trump's very first day in office, he signed an executive order banning birthright citizenship, which is not something that he can do, since that is a right codified in the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. You can't just sign it away with an executive order, hence why multiple lower court judges blocked it from going into effect. But Trump didn't like this, so his administration asked the Supreme Court to stop lower court judges from issuing these nationwide injunctions that stop him from violating the Constitution. Didn't matter that his executive order was blatantly unconstitutional. Well, no, because the Supreme Court sidestepped the unconstitutionality of his executive order altogether, and they just narrowly looked at the authority of lower courts. It didn't matter if lower courts were right on the substance. The question was whether or not lower courts should have this power to block a president in the first place, even if what they're blocking is unconstitutional.
Right. So like that's the crux at this whole thing, right? Like the Supreme Court didn't overturn birthright citizenship outright. It did something arguably more impactful by basically saying that the injunctions that the lower courts put were not correct. And that sets the precedent about how courts can set injunctions. So because they're not allowed to do that, because that was overruled, this now blatantly unconstitutional executive order is allowed to go on. That's what's happening here. You're saying the Constitution is unconstitutional? Yes, basically.
And in a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court said, no, lower court judges should not have the power to stop presidents from doing unconstitutional things, which means that presidents can essentially now do whatever the fuck they want, Constitution be damned, at least for a while.
Right, because again, if there's an unconstitutional act by the president, and normally what would happen is that court sets injunctions. But if they can't do that, then like essentially the president can do unconstitutional stuff because there's nothing to stop him from doing so. Federal district courts can issue injunctions within their own districts, no? Yes, but like that kind of does us no good. That kind of presents a whole other issue, right? Because yes, you're right. That let's say like the federal courts issue injunctions on birthright citizenship. So that means that there are going to be what, like quasi citizens if you step in one corner of this map, you are a citizen. You retain your birthright citizenship, but if you move over to a different district, you may not have citizenship. I mean, this presents a whole lot of problems, and that's a whole other conversation about what a mess that is. But the point being is that essentially, because of that, it kind of really does give Trump carte blanche to kind of just do whatever he wants. Because what are you going to do? Fight it district by district by district? At that point, then you could argue that we don't have rights. We have awarded privileges that we get to enjoy. Not rights. Those are gone. Does that make sense? Wolfglen, welcome. Just think student loan forgiveness would have been okay. Yep. See y'all in the leftist work camp.
Because sure, the Supreme Court might be able to stop them from doing unconstitutional things, but it takes time for an executive order to make its way to the Supreme Court. So in the interim, a president's unconstitutional executive order can take effect. So, I mean, think of it this way. If a Democratic president gets elected, for example, and chooses to override the Second Amendment and order all guns to be immediately confiscated, no court can stop them, with the exception of the Supreme Court, but it would take time for the issue to work its way through the system all the way up to the Supreme Court. And during the period where it's going through the system, the president's illegal order can take effect. Nationwide injunctions would have prevented presidents from abusing power, but now anything goes. At least,
Right, and like that's the problem, right? Because that means that again, we don't have rights. We have privileges that are gifted to us by our God, Emperor, King. That's what this means. Let's hope SCOTUS does the right thing. Oof, I wouldn't... I don't want to be that guy, but I wouldn't hold my breath with regards to SCOTUS doing the right thing. I'm so glad I moved to Minnesota, where I feel like my state will try to protect me at least. Let's go Walls. Yeah, I mean... It's certainly safer than any red state.
Temporarily. And in order to stop the president from confiscating your guns, if we're going with the same analogy, you would have to sue the federal government yourself to get relief, because another plaintiff's lawsuit couldn't affect you as a gun owner, since these nationwide injunctions aren't going to stop a president from doing something that affects all people who own guns. Another question is, what would happen, say, the year that all of these guns were confiscated and the Supreme Court ultimately said, no, that's unconstitutional, you can't do that? The answer is, who knows? Our entire legal system has been thrown into chaos because of this decision, and the Constitution is now just a recommendation, not a requirement. Now, with that being said, nationwide injunctions aren't perfect. Activist Republican judges, for example, blocked President Biden's agenda for partisan reasons. But as Elie Mystal put it in an article for The Nation, though flawed, nationwide injunctions make sense when it comes to national issues involving civil and human rights. Issues like...
Yeah, I mean, like, you have to have a system to be able to put a stop to a president or to an executive, or to provide a check if something is unconstitutional, right? Like, you have to have some kind of system in place. It may not be perfect, but some kind of check has to be in existence, right? Otherwise, presidents can just do whatever they want, as we are seeing. SCOTUS doesn't always side with Trump, so I have hope. I'm not saying that having hope is bad. I agree with you. I hope. I hope a lot of things. It's just the cynicism in me doesn't believe in the Supreme Court at this moment. Gotta do something in the garden, BRB. Thank you. Appreciate you hanging out.
Say the Constitution's very clearly stated definition of national citizenship. After all, one's fundamental rights should not wildly change if they miss their exit on the interstate. But because of this decision, Trump's blatantly unconstitutional executive order banning birthright citizenship is now going to take effect. And babies born in America going forward, at least for the foreseeable future, might not actually be citizens, depending on where they're born. But assuming the Supreme Court one day does strike down Trump's unconstitutional executive order here after letting it go into effect, what happens to all of the babies that were born who weren't given citizenship? How do you remedy the situation? Will the Supreme Court retroactively make them citizens, or will we have a generation of stateless people living in the country who are denied their constitutional right? It's a fucking mess. And if you watched my previous coverage of this issue, which I'll link to down below, I talk about the comically stupid legal argument that the U.S. Solicitor General arguing for Trump made in defense of this decision. First of all, Even Kavanaugh seemed stunned by their inability to explain how something like this would be enforced, and Barrett joined the liberal justices multiple times to challenge Trump's attorney on the stupidity of his arguments. But in the end, all 6 conservatives sided with Trump, and Barrett, who seemed the most reasonable out of all the conservatives during oral arguments, ended up writing the majority opinion. And the arguments she concocts here are so laughably stupid, I can't help but question if she was high when she wrote this. Elie Mystal explains, her principal reasoning for this is the High Court of Chancery in England, which existed at the time of the adoption of the Constitution. I wish I were making this up, but I'm not nearly creative enough to do it. Barrett and the rest of her Republican colleagues determined that nationwide injunctions cannot be used in 2025 to stop a president from violating the Constitution of the United States because the High Court in England, which existed during a time of hereditary monarchy, did not use a historical equivalent of a nationwide injunction to enforce the laws against Czech's notes, their king. Originalism.
Yeah. So I mean, like, again, I understand, and you're right, Redmond Barry. In normal circumstances, we would be saying that obviously a presidential executive order cannot override the Constitution. It's not even law technically, but the SCOTUS clearly is not seeing it that way. Otherwise, they would have shut that stuff down immediately. And that's the problem. I think that the perspective here should be that we know that none of this is going to be legal. It's that who's going to stop them? Why aren't they being stopped? Because they don't care. It's obvious that it's not legal. We know that. We know that it's not constitutional to eliminate birthright citizenship. It's literally in the Constitution. They just don't care. We know it's not legal. We know it's not constitutional. So what now? if he's allowed to say, like, I just don't like this part of the Constitution. Okay, well then what's stopping him from saying that he doesn't like other parts of the Constitution? Say, like, I don't know, the First Amendment.
Often leads to ludicrous arguments, but this one really takes the cake, or crumpet as it were. We're living in a world where 6 Republican Supreme Court justices use the courts of a monarchy we revolted against as the controlling authority on whether the President of the United States has to follow the Constitution. And Barrett doesn't stop there. She isn't sure that any American court can make Trump follow the law. It's unclear if she thinks an English court could do it. She writes, no one disputes that the executive has a duty to follow the law, but the judiciary does not have unbridled authority to enforce this obligation. In fact, sometimes the law prohibits the judiciary from doing so.
Yeah, so like then what is the point of the judiciary? What? Like basically like she's arguing for her institution to not exist, right? Like that's what she's basically saying, right? Because if the judiciary doesn't have the ability to put a check on the executive, then, like, why are they there? What's the point of them? SCOTUS wants to see what the lower courts do so they can rule on the lower court decision. They don't want to get in front of the issue right now. They'll probably rule before an injunction expires. Again, I hope. I mean, like, you're talking about, like, in normal situations, but these are not normal times where we can kind of, like, say, like, okay, well, this is just, the process taking its course, but we're talking about the very foundation of our law, right? The Constitution. We're talking about the Constitution, and the fact of the matter is, Trump. We don't need a lower court decision. This is something that the Supreme Court should have stepped in and said, you know what? That it's true. You can't just pick and choose what you don't like about the Constitution. The 14th Amendment is clear about birthright citizenship. Like, why are we having this conversation? That's what the Supreme Court should be saying, right? Like, of course there should be injunctions on this. Look what they're doing. We don't know what else is on the shadow docket.
According to Barrett, the law is a mere suggestion to Donald Trump. She hopes he follows it, but if he doesn't, there might be nothing the courts can do.
Right, so in other words, like, then the courts don't matter, right? The courts don't matter. If Trump is basically being told that he can do whatever he wants, that laws are just merely suggestions, and there is no laws. That's it. We basically live in a lawless nation where the only thing that matters is whatever President Trump, whatever King Trump decides that day. Whatever he decides is legal. Whatever he decides to do, nobody's going to stop him. Certainly not the judiciary. They can't.
Except there was, but she stopped them from doing that. Thanks, Barrett. Really appreciate it. Now, Elie Mystal goes on to make a really chilling point about how the last time that the Supreme Court addressed the question of citizenship, it ended in the Dred Scott ruling, where in a 7-2 decision, the Supreme Court said that a black slave and his family could not be freed and that they couldn't attain citizenship. As you all know, a civil war came next. But Mystal says that the racists are now winning their second civil war without having to fire a single shot. It is really bleak. And the conclusion was equally bleak from Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who says, eventually executive power will become completely uncontainable and our beloved constitutional republic will be no more. In other words, a Supreme Court justice is saying the American experiment might actually be over. It's not like we were ever a real democracy to begin with, but whatever this was, we're no longer working towards a better version of it. It's just all coming undone. And to be clear, there's plenty of things that have happened that paved the way for our descent into dictatorship, but it really feels like they pulled the final thread that made the whole system unravel with this particular case. It truly feels like we've reached the point of no return here. And keep in mind that the same Supreme Court also gave Trump near absolute immunity. So no other institution has laid the groundwork for the death of democracy more than the Supreme Court, the institution that is supposed to protect the Constitution. They are enabling Trump's dictatorial ambitions. And ironically, a former Supreme Court Justice, Anthony Kennedy, is suddenly sounding the alarm about democracy being at risk. Not necessarily because of this decision, but, in general, based on the environment that Trump has cultivated. He said many in the rest of the world look to the United States to see what democracy is, to see what democracy ought to be. Not anymore, bitch. If they see a hostile, fractious discourse, if they see a discourse that uses identity politics rather than to talk about issues, democracy is at risk. Freedom is at risk. He added, judges must have protection.
Yeah, and then what happened? We actually just read about the Civil War in school today. Sick and sad stuff, even at the second grade level. Yep. I think one of the more if you want to like get a bird's eye view about what this was all about, just read the president's was it the vice president? Who is Jefferson? Was Jefferson the president of the Confederacy? I gotta look that up. Jefferson Davis. You can read about what he wrote. Yes, Jefferson Davis. You can read about his their reasoning for secession. T-minus, the Supreme Court is going to do more and more unexpected stuff, like turning over Roe. Well, unexpected, I don't know, but it's all crap where they're being foxy, playing possum, and when all is said and done, the history will show this was a plan that needed to be pulled off shrewdly. These guys are laughing at the system. Yeah, no doubt.
For themselves and their families. Our families are often included in threats. Except Kennedy chose to let the man responsible for the situation choose his successor. Kennedy also wrote the majority opinion for Citizens United, one of the biggest death blows to democracy in modern history, a decision, by the way, that this court is poised to revisit and expand upon again, as HuffPost reports. So we've been moving closer and closer towards the point of no return, little by little, but this decision right here could truly be the tipping point. They gave a fascist wannabe dictator who tried to overthrow the last election near absolute.
I mean, like, that alone should have been enough, man. That alone should have been enough for Trump to not even be allowed to run, right? Like in any normal, sane situation, this guy should have never been allowed to even be able to run. These guys are going to get what they want, bottom line. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. Not disagreeing.
Immunity and the power to at least temporarily override the U.S. Constitution with executive orders. This is not really something that democracies can recover from. But as I said in my last video about this, if the Constitution doesn't matter and presidents can do whatever they want, Republicans better hope that we never have free and fair elections again for their sake. Because if a Democrat gets in, I want Medicare for all on day one with an executive order.
Yep.
Okay? I mean, if that executive order inevitably gets struck down, then I guess the Democrat just goes, oh, well, gee golly, I think that it's constitutional, so let me just change it a little bit, and we'll push that through again, and people will have health care in the time being. I mean, there's nothing stopping them from going full Fidel in this bitch. They could seize the means of production at corporations, nationalize entire industries, throw billionaires in gulags, all without congressional approval, apparently, since no lower court can stop him. And whatever a president does, well, there's going to be a period of time where that has to be adjudicated in the system and has to work its way all the way up to the Supreme Court. And according to Amy Coney Barrett, well, they might not even be able to stop the president. I mean, Kavanaugh says that the Supreme Court, in his concurring opinion, can stop them, but it's kind of an open question, according to the person who wrote the.
Yeah. Also, like, I don't. I mean, I don't think the Democrats would do anything like this, but this is where leftists can hold our future elected officials to higher standards. They know that the Democrats will never go back. His second impeachment was literally for inciting an insurrection. He shouldn't have been allowed to run. Yep. Yeah, that one's a little too close to the sun there, Charlie Martini. That one's a little too close to the sun. Don't singe your wings, Icarus.
The majority opinion. So this is what happens when you open the door to dictatorships. We didn't ask for this. I don't want to live in a dictatorship, but this dictator-like system was forced upon all of us by power-hungry fascists. So if Republican presidents are effectively kings, Democratic presidents are effectively kings too. This is the bet that Republicans have made for our country, and they have to lie in it too. They have to deal with the consequences of the system that they created for all of us. So buckle up, because the next president better be unfucking restrained. I expect the most.
I mean, yeah, but like, what are the odds of a Democratic president? I mean, like, Biden had the ability to do a lot more, and I believe he decided to stay within the constraint. I mean, like, literally. This was after the decision that the president, after the Supreme Court decision granting the president a broad immunity. Biden still chose to act within the acceptable institutional realms, as if pretending as if these institutions were still standing, were still stable. Like, that's the problem. That Democrats still believe the liberal their liberal brain believes that the institutions are above everything, and that they are still functional when the other team is not playing by those rules. The other team doesn't care about the rules, right? That's the problem here. The so-called opposition party thinks that everyone is still playing and believing in the same set of rules. And it's going to get us all cooked. Simple as. Not good. He whiffed. Yep. Like there will ever be a transfer of power. I mean, assuming that we have still normal, to the extent that there are normal and free, fair elections in this country. I mean, let's just get to that part first, right? Let's just cross that bridge first, because things are getting a little dicey on that end. Institutions are only good as the people running it. Yes, right, and the people running, correct. And if the people running it are literally taking a sledgehammer to these institutions, the other so-called opposition can't operate on the assumption that these are people that are acting in good faith. They don't care about these institutions. They don't want them to function the way they're supposed to function. They don't want the rule of law to apply equally. They don't want to be constrained about all these rules and constitutionality. They don't care about any of that. So you're essentially tying both hands behind your back. That's what you're doing. Not even tying one hand behind your back. You're tying both hands behind your back. Just announced FEMA funds will pay for alligator Alcatraz. Yep, something that is not supposed to happen, from my understanding. But again, questioning whether or not questioning the legality of whether or not you can use FEMA funds to pay for your new concentration camp. I guess it's kind of a moot point, because like it doesn't matter. They don't care, right? Miami postpones elections. Yes, we're going to talk about that right now, actually, because I think this is the perfect segue after this. Yay, democracy.
Transformative agenda in American history. I expected FDR-like president all through executive orders. This is what Republicans wanted, so this is what they're going to fucking get.
I hope so, but that's not, I'm not holding my breath, Mike. They literally want a Squid Game in America. I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm sorry. If I'm being a little bit more doomer than our friend Mike here, I just don't believe that there will be a Democrat. Assuming that, let's say that that's true, that that a Democratic candidate wins the presidency next time. I just don't think that they'll do that. I mean, maybe if there's some kind of radical 180 from the Democratic Party, and somehow we get some kind of Mamdani, AOC, Bernie kind of person that happens to win the presidency, then maybe I'll be a little bit more optimistic about something like that happening. More likely we'll get Gavin Newsom. Don't even speak that into existence. Democrats will be sure to be weak and when centrists with power as usual. Where they want to build Alcatraz is on native land. Yep. They don't care. Yeah, they don't care. I actually saw Andrea Rovinsky talk about this in a very aptly named show on this space called Welcome to Fuckville. She was talking about this exact thing. right here. So you know what? We're also going to talk about it.
So the last time I was on vacation, about a week and a half ago, which, yes, I'm on vacation now. That's why things are weird. But anyway, I went on vacation and I did a Q&A. And one of the questions I got from a lot of different people was, will elections be canceled by Republicans in the future so they can just stay in power? And at the time I was like, no, I don't think it's going to happen. Probably, but I wasn't as sure of it as I was, say, a month ago. A month ago, I was dismissing the fears of everybody saying they're going to cancel elections. I thought, that's a little extreme. You guys are kind of going a little overboard. Let's not talk about them canceling elections because it's not going to happen. I was wrong. I could not have been more wrong. And this is one of the times when, man, I really wanted to be right, that of course Republicans aren't going to cancel elections. That's ridiculous. And they did.
Well, I mean, like, I think I think the perspective is like, we don't. In my opinion, it's not that Farron obviously is admitting that he kind of missed that, but in my opinion, it's not that they wouldn't cancel elections. It's more or less like, what is it's what is the mechanism as to which how they could do that? Because otherwise, that's what we're guessing. That's the game that we're guessing here. You've been yelling at me for 2 years. Unfortunate pause. Well, I mean, no, it's perfect, because that's exactly how I would feel. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. That's exactly how I would feel. I'll be here with my oversized bagel slicer. Go make good trouble. Now that I agree with. Be civilly disobedient and protect democracy on July 17th. July 4th, by the way, also, there's some planned protests. I believe the 5051 project is doing stuff. If you want to check out this organization, I will put the Blue Sky link in chat to just check it out. Whenever there's like a more bigger protest, they usually announce this here. I live in a tourist town. We have a dog terrified of fireworks. We hide inside for the 4th. Understandable.
Republicans in the state of Florida, in the city of Miami, have canceled this year's elections. The city of Miami.
Yeah, okay, so folks may be a bit underwhelmed about this, because it's just a city race, it's just a local city election. Who cares about this? Well, the problem here is that this provides the blueprint to try to do it, maybe perhaps in another election. Maybe if this is successful, perhaps they could test how far they can push it for the next time. Maybe it won't be a mayoral race next time. Maybe it'll be a state representative race. Canceled elections. Why? Because the city council voted to do so. I'm not even joking. That's the reasoning. 5051 worked with Indivisible, which I volunteer for. Nice. For No Kings. After everything that's happened in SLC with since No Kings, I wouldn't touch 50-51 with a 10-foot pole. Really, I was not aware of that. Damn. Well, good thing the mayor's a Dem, right? Nope. The mayor who wants to stay in, who got a year extra in power and who has been there for 17 years, is not, is a Republican. That mayor, in fact, tried to run for president. Yes, like raptors testing the fences. That's the exact imagery that I had in my mind. Give the fashion inch, and the next thing you know, you wake up in Auschwitz. Yep. Clever girls. Yep.
Miami is supposed to be holding elections for numerous, city leaders.
Yeah, again, like this is just this is just like on a local level, but again, make no mistake about this. The significance of this is that they're testing the fences. Because if they can get away with this and nobody stops them, why not just say next year, we'll hold elections next year? And if nobody stops them there, what's a I don't know, maybe a future governor saying, let's not hold statewide elections this year. We'll do it next year. We'll do it next year. Matt, yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm actually not aware of any of what happened in Salt Lake City. I saw what 50-51 was doing, and I actually joined. I actually saw one of the protests and was able to go to one of the protests because I saw it on social media. But that's about it. It just made it simple to go find a protest using their map, but that's about it. Elections option, not a big deal or anything. Yep, not a big deal,
including mayor of Miami. But because the county commissioners is a majority Republicans, and because these government officials that are term limited and cannot run again are all Republicans, all of these Republicans got together and said, you know what? Let's just not do it. So the county commissioners of the city of Miami and the state of Florida voted to cancel this year's elections. The voters did not have a say, and the voters are pissed off. But because the Republicans are term limited and they knew, hey, we're out of here in November, they said, let's push it a year down the road. So they canceled the election scheduled for 2025 because they do hold off-year elections. And they said, let's do even-year elections so that it lines up, they said, with, the regular federal elections, because then if we do it, they claim, we're going to get higher turnout. Well, this is great. We're so smart. Let's pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah. So, that's a first red flag. Since when do Republicans care about turnout? Since when does the Republican Party care about how many people show up to vote? I mean, let's be so for real for a second. That is an immediate red flag. To try to justify postponing an election because it'll just give more people a chance to come out if it's going to be in line with the federal elections. Like, give me a break. Oh snap! There was a shooter, but I wouldn't blame the organizers for that. Okay, so that happened in Salt Lake City. I know that there was an incident at one of these protests. I didn't know it was that one. Jesus Christ!
Right? We're going to have more people. And of course, that does mean that these Republicans get one more year in office and, they can keep doing the horrible things that Republicans do. But in the end, they tell us this is totally going to be for the best, right? It doesn't matter if it increases turnout. If you want to change the way that your city runs elections, that is a decision that is up to the voters. And you took that decision away from them. And that's part one of the story. So yes, there are now Republicans with power in this country that have canceled elections. So those fears, the fears that
Oh shoot, was it you who gave me the videos of that? Jeez, was it you, Ground Level News? Somebody gave me a video about one of these shootings. I think there was there were several incidents, if I'm correct. There's not several, a couple incidents that happened. I'm not sure if it was you who gave me a video, or if it was another chatter. I mean, that's natural and inevitable reactionary response we can and should expect. There are already aggressors visiting violence on people who are defenseless. We know who and what they are. Yep. Why didn't they hold the election in 2024 if they wanted to line up with the other elections? Right. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. Exactly correct. Because that's not the issue. Because again, when have Republicans cared about when have Republicans cared about turnout? That is correct, Bipedal. Holy crap, Ground Level News. Yeah, I didn't know any of this. The main point being reasonable. A fear, anticipation of their violence simply cannot stop you, nor is preemptive surrender to them self-evidently any shield to their violence. Yeah. Preemptive surrender is not an option.
I dismissed, those fears are valid and accurate. It is no longer scaremongering. It is no longer a conspiracy theory. It is a real thing happening now.
Yeah, and like the thing is, it's that Cassandra syndrome, right? It's that Cassandra syndrome. The left has been talking about the nature of which the right wing was heading for a long time. I mean, Donald Trump, like, just in his first in the first 2015 election, he was disputing the results, even though he won. Even though he won, he was saying that millions of undocumented voted for Hillary, and that he should have won by an even bigger margin. Right, and dead people voted.
Second part. These Republicans who run that city, who made this decision, they understand something. And they understand that this is going to be challenged in court. That's the scary part.
Is it? I don't know anymore. Will it be challenged in court? Will it matter?
You've got a conservative judiciary down there in South Florida, all throughout the state of Florida. And then once it gets out of the state of Florida, where is it going to end up? The United States Supreme Court. So this move by these Republicans was not just to give themselves another year in office, folks. This was to get this up to the Supreme Court and get them to say that, yes, we do have the authority to cancel elections. Here you go.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's another scary thought, right? That's another scary thought. If this is, if this is the route, if this is really the route that they want to take, that is a scary thought. I was thinking more along the lines. I mean, he's taking it down a much, I guess, streamlined path. I was thinking, like, is it even going to matter if it gets challenged in court? But he brings it together. Yeah, I'm seeing it. Moanep. I got armed peacekeepers, oxymoron. I'm wary of an org that uses armed peacekeepers who are cozy with the pigs. Armed is fine, but gun safety is very important. Man, that's unfortunate. Like, just to be clear, like, I mean, like, having organizations that build people-powered movements is important, but that's really, really disappointing. To not take some kind of accountability, at least, is pretty concerning. Yeah, you never fire into that. That is just wild. I mean, we saw the video. That's wild stuff.
That's what this is about. It's not just about the local game. It's about getting it to that Supreme Court and getting them on your side and then doing it across the country.
I wasn't even thinking about that, honestly. I was just thinking, like, who cares? They don't care about the Supreme Court. Like, why would they even bother? It's just like, if they can do that in a local level, then they'll just start doing it on a state level, on a governorship level, maybe. Like, what if the Secretary of State in Florida says, like, we'll just postpone elections until I care, until I care, to have them. I'm taking the courts out of that equation completely, because I just don't have any faith. But I mean, he does make a good argument. As to another route that this could play out, one that at least presumes or pretends to have some kind of legitimacy by saying, "Oh, look, the Supreme Court confirmed this, so it's okay." Jesus. Holy cow, ground level. Technically, they should be 49-49 now since they broke up with Utah. Florida and Texas are a lab with the rest of the country. Yep. Yep. More Supreme Court stuff. Trump asked the Supreme Court to remove 3 Democrats on the Consumer Product Safety Commission because reasons. They're Democrats, I guess. Radical Democrats who want to stop, business leaders, I guess. The Trump administration on Wednesday asked the Supreme Court to remove 3 Democratic members of the Consumer Product Safety Commission who were fired by President Trump and then reinstated by a federal judge. Trump has the power to fire independent agency board members, the Justice Department argued in its filing to the High Court, pointing out that the May ruling by the Supreme Court that endorsed a robust view of presidential power. The administration asked the court for an immediate order to allow the firings to go forward over the objections of lawyers for the commissioners. The commission helps to protect consumers from dangerous products by issuing recalls, suing errant companies, and more. Trump fired the 3 Democrats on a 5-member commission in May. They were serving 7-year terms after being nominated by President Biden. So, yeah. Get ready for some, if this ends up being, like, if this goes through, like, I mean, we're rolling it back. We live in a 50-state experiment, yeah, at this point. Judge Matthew Maddox in Baltimore ruled in June that the dismissals were unlawful. Maddox sought to distinguish the commission's role from those of other agencies where the Supreme Court was has allowed the firings to go forward. A month earlier, the High Court's conservative majority declined to reinstate members of the NLRB and the Merit System Protection Board, finding that the Constitution appears to give the president the authority to fire board members without cause. The 3 liberal judges dissented. Whatever. President just do whatever he wants. I mean, that seems to be like the theme here with the Supreme Court. Just consistently, the Supreme Court has awarded the president the amount of power. I've been collecting all the info on this incident. Hopefully stream about it soon to get all the info in one place. The story just gets weirder and weirder by the day. It certainly seems like it. I mean, the incident without any other context is pretty horrific. Having one person killed, another person shot, and another person in jail. Dear leftists, don't say anything bad about Diddy. We don't want Trump pardoning him out of spite. I mean, like, predators protect predators, so it wouldn't be surprising, regardless, as Seth Evans points out. Predators tend to protect predators, so it would not be surprising if Trump says something in favor of P. Diddy. Trump is going to pardon him regardless. Multiple more, since they're both rich. Yep. The person who pulled the permit is just a shell company out of state. Okay, that's kind of suspect. The administration argued that all the agencies are under Trump's control as head of the executive branch. Maddox, a Biden nominee, noted that it can be difficult to characterize the Product Safety Commission's functions as purely executive. The fight over the president's power to fire could prompt the court to consider overturning a 90-year-old Supreme Court decision known as Humphrey's Executor. In that case from 1935, the court unanimously held that presidents cannot fire independent board members without cause. The decision ushered in an era of powerful independent federal agencies charged with regulating labor relations, employment discrimination, the airwaves, and much else. Things that you may not want to be at the whims of partisanship, right? But, okay. It has long rankled conservative legal theorists who argued that the modern administrative state gets the Constitution all wrong because such agencies should answer to the president. That's the unitary theory. The Consumer Product Safety Commission was created in 1972. Its 5 members must maintain a partisan split, with no more than 3 representing the president's party. They serve staggered terms. The structure ensures that each president has the opportunity to influence but not control the commission. Attorneys for the fired commissioners wrote in court filings. They argued the recent terminations could jeopardize the commission's independence, which is the point. I mean, who cares? It's the point. President Trump thinks that they should be fired because they are Democrats, and that's that. He wants everything under his total control. I mean, he said so. Article 2 says I can do whatever I want. The cause is that they're Democrats. Yep. Political opposition. Perceived political opposition. Hate with the 100 biddies. Thank you. I just rewatched Daredevil Born Again and noticed a disturbing similarity between Trump and Wilson Kingpin Fisk. Who gets elected mayor in that show? Is that the one where with the actor's name is Charlie? Is that just like the TV show? Let me tell you, big fan of the Daredevil TV show that was made. I say recently, but relatively recently. Yep. Okay. Gotcha. That actor is phenomenal. That version of Daredevil, which also happens to appear, it happens to appear in the Spider-Man movie. That actor is honestly like spot on. They did a fantastic job, and then like the crossover with the whole Punisher show as well, and Luke Cage also in that universe, in that same kind of universe, I believe. I think so. I'm pretty sure they do. The same thing with Jessica. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting her name. Jessica. Now I can't remember. He was also in She-Hulk, but they messed that up. The only thing is, like, I kind of didn't like the costume. I kind of didn't like the costume in She-Hulk. Jessica Jones, that's it. That another fantastic, like that whole like little universe, little TV universe, was so freaking good. So freaking good. Yeah, Jessica Jones. Yep. I wonder if we'll get lead back in gas. They seem to be rolling back on everything else. Yep. I mean, it don't matter because there's not going to be any. You wouldn't know because there's not going to be any guardrails, right? There's not going to be any independent checks on any of the products, anyways. The show is just a tutorial for fascism. Great shows. I didn't get to watch Iron Fist, though. That one I have not watched. So while our Gestapo and concentration camps get supercharged to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars, education is getting frozen. Day camp providers and schools say the Trump administration's funding freeze could ruin summer for low-income American families and jeopardize some after-school programs each year. The administration is holding back $6 billion in federal grants for after-school and summer programs, English language instruction, and adult literacy, as more as it conducts a review to ensure grants are aligned with President Trump's priorities. Trump is such a cool. They should set up a Walls-type photo shoot with him and the kids and see how that goes. Iron Fist is meh compared to the other three. Gotcha. I gotta watch it just for continuity's sake. And I also gotta finish up She-Hulk. And I also have to put Agatha on the list. I have so much stuff to catch up on. Screw summer school kids that need the extra time to catch up. The world needs ditch diggers too. Yep, the children, they yearn for the mines. Also, I was a beneficiary of summer school. I was a beneficiary of summer school. Agatha is a must. Yes, I've heard so much good about that show. Even Christina was talking about it. I kind of feel like Trump's going to grow a Hitler stash. It would be fitting. I mean, like we're skipping a hop, you know. The guy's touring. Concentration camps now at this point. With more to come, by the way. Florida's not done. I believe they're probably going to build another one. Just like the alligator Auschwitz. Bad lefty. Graduated from high school at 16 with summer school. What? Nice. Schmagley. Saris. Hazemaker. The move creates uncertainty for states and schools as they budget for programs this summer and in the upcoming school year because they don't know if or when they'll receive the funding. Democrats say the administration is flouting the law by holding back congressionally appropriated money. Ah, yes, the classic. Democrats are silent. No, it's worse. It's worse. They're wagging their fingers and saying, "You can't do that." You can't do that. Well, gee, thanks. We know that. Yeah, it's all good. Appreciate it, bad lefty. It's so disgusting that the Republican Party in Florida is selling merch. Yeah, I saw that. Right after, by the way, after yesterday's show, Jeff Waldorf opens up in this space that they're selling merch. They're selling merch with this. And by the way, if you buy that merch, you will be supporting the camps essentially. I believe also the Letter Hack made a post about it this morning. Just saying something to the effect of just like wear the armband. You might as well. Schumer and Jeffries are working on a strongly worded letter as we speak. I'm sure that tweet is gonna be incredibly strong. Pretty sure they don't mind. Without funds, oh yes, class or camps underway this summer could be in jeopardy too. The Boys and Girls Club of America depend on some of this funding to run their camps under the summer programming for low-income students because, yeah, I mean, like, that's it right there. If it's not restored soon, the programming could be in mid-season, said the Boys and Girls Club president, Jim Clark. After-school programming in the fall could also take a hit. If these funds are blocked, the fallout would be swift and devastating. As many as 926 boys and girl clubs could close, affecting more than 220,000 kids. But, you know, it's mostly going to affect low-income children, low-income families, so who cares? Not even a letter, just a tweet. Soon it'll just be a number. Yeah. We effectively get, like, a wag of a finger. Like, you can't do that. It's illegal, you know. You know, I've got actually a perfect encapsulation of that, of like just how bad centrism is when it comes. And I mean, like, when I mean centrism, I mean like essentially like this fickle ideology that can't seem to be able to effectively plant their feet and say no to fascism. I think that there's something here that I remember that comes to mind. Let's see if I can find the video.
Political centrism, the settled beliefs known for its success back in 1930s Europe, whose proponents were rewarded for their political acumen after a few years by getting to be the smuggest people in the concentration camp. Did you know that Hitler has lied on average about 10 times a day for the past 5 years? We know, we fact-checked him. How do you respond to that? Yeah, that's very nice, please step into the chamber now. Fast forward 100 years and the political center around the Western world is once again dying.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like the that 28 seconds right there is basically exactly the feeling right here. Soon it'll be a QR code. We gotta bump up those weirdo libertarian numbers. It's gonna be a gilded age for stomaching for King Trump, really looking down their noses and walking to the other side of the room. Yep. Hey, it's the Commie Blocks guy. This guy is funny. Adam Something is pretty decent from what I've watched. But this 28 seconds right there is exactly it. I mean, like, no lies detected. Where are we heading? If nothing stops and these people are allowed to do what they really want to do, like, where does this naturally Where does this end? We know where it ends, right? The details may not be the same, but the plot of this story has already been written. We know about it. We've literally watched history about this. Yeah, history has shown. Yep. I gotta make some grub, but I'll be listening still. No problem. My stomach is grumbling too. The department remains committed to ensuring taxpayer resources are spent in accordance with the president's priority and the department's statutory responsibilities, said the Education Department officials wrote in the notice, which was obtained by the AP. The department referred to questions to the Office of Management and Budget, which did not respond to a request for comment. So, I mean, they're cutting billions of dollars for school, for educational programs. Meanwhile, we're going to funnel $170 billion to ICE for enacting this mass deportation plan. Department of Education has been cooed. All of these agencies have. Yep. There should be an Adam Something meme that's based on everything reverts to crab, but it's everything reverts to train. Thousands of new immigration enforcement officers, tens of thousands of new detention beds, concentration camps, new fees on asylum applications, and new construction on the border wall. Donald Trump's sweeping spending bill, the one big beautiful bill, would vastly expand the federal government's Gestapo, immigration enforcement machinery. Sheesh. My cat just leapt at the window trying to catch presumably a bird. Sir. You can't go through windows, as it turns out. That's not how that works. Yeah, camps. Which kitty? Buddy the cat. He is right next, well, not next to me, but to my left, just looking out the window, I guess watching cat TV. And I think a bird must have gotten too close or something, because he just leapt out the window. Trying to remind you to make an emoji. Oh yes, we do need we don't have a buddy emoji. That's right. You know, that Keith Wolverman was being a bit shrill about Trump's creating concentration camps back in his first term, but of course he was completely right. Yep, it's the Cassandra effect. No, we don't. I need to make that. This bill's gonna rack up a 3.3 trillion deficit. Yes, that's a T. With a T. Yep. Yep. Donald Trump's sweeping spending bill would vastly expand the federal government's immigration enforcement machinery, and if passed, the House has supercharged the president's plan to carry out what he has vowed will be the largest deportation campaign in U.S. history. The measure would authorize a level of immigration enforcement spending that analysts advocate says is without precedent. Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill dedicates roughly $170 billion for immigration and border-related operations, a staggering sum that would make the U.S. Immigration Enforcement, ICE, the Gestapo, the most heavily funded law enforcement agency in the federal government. And the critics warn will unleash more raids, disrupt the economy, and severely restrict access to humanitarian protections like asylum, which is the goal. We've already seen aggressive, indiscriminate immigration enforcement across the country and protests in reaction to how horribly it's been carried out, said Daniel Costa, Director of Immigration Law and Policy Research at the Liberal Economic Policy Institute. And we're going to see such a massive increase that most people can't even begin to wrap their heads around it. I mean, we can take a gander, just historically speaking, about what this is going to entail. Did you see the Laura Loomer said about alligators? Oh, I got it queued up. I'm right there with you. I got it queued up. It's perfect with this story. No, not great. It's not. The 940 bill passed by the Senate on Tuesday with J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote. It now returns to the House, which approved an initial draft by a single vote in May. While some elements of the spending package could still change, the border security provision and the House-Senate versions are largely aligned. And despite mounting public backlash over Trump's administration's sprawling immigration crackdown, which has separated families and then even swept U.S. citizens, the proposal's unimaginable immigration enforcement spending has received notably less scrutiny than its tax cuts and deep reductions to social safety nets like Medicaid. Yep. Very strange render. I wonder what she meant. Oh, we know. We know exactly what she meant. The Senate bill would appropriate $45 billion to build and operate new concentration camps, including facilities for families, marking a 265% increase over ICE's current detention budget, and enabling the detention of at least 116,000 non-citizens. We don't know that. We can assume that citizens will also be included. Daily, according to an analysis by the AIC, experts say language in the bill could allow families to be detained indefinitely because they're concentration camps. I saw this demented MAGA guy on a TikTok live this morning crowing about alligator Alcatraz. I assume that's about the Florida concentration camp. Yep. Apparently, Kristi Noem said a cannibal immigrant ate himself. I mean, Kristi Noem has no room to talk. Kristi, the dog killer Noem. Yeah. Alligator Alcatraz is already leaking. Yeah, not surprising considering in the speed and quality of which it was built and on the place and land that it was built on too. In violation of the Flores settlement in the 1997 consent decree that limits the amount of time children can be detained by immigration officials. The measure would allocate $46 billion for border wall construction, more than 3 times that was spent on the nonsense border wall in the first term. Though the allegation allots $3.3 billion to the agency that oversees the country's immigration court system and caps the number of immigrant judges at 800, despite a huge backlog with millions of pending cases, it also imposes new or elevated fees on immigration services. The asylum seekers, those fleeing persecution, will now be subject to a $100 application fee, and additional $100 for every year the application is pending. The original House bill proposed was a $1,000 fee. Currently, there is no fee, and experts warn that the added financial burden would, in effect, restrict asylum access to those who can afford it. Yep. That's right, Mono. I'm about 40 minutes behind. Hi, future people. That mayor canceling the election for a year looks like a proof of concept to me, but I'm a pessimistic, cynical, grumpy bastard. Yeah, I think that's kind of like that's kind of like what we were concluding, essentially. An analysis by David Beer, Associated Director of Immigration Studies at the Libertarian Cato Institute, argues that even without new funding, immigration enforcement spending was already extreme. Congress had allocated $34 billion for immigration and border enforcement in fiscal year 2025, more than double the combined budget for all federal law enforcement agencies. That amount, according to the report, is 36 times the IRS's budget for tax enforcement, 21 times the firearms enforcement budget, 13 times the drug enforcement, and 8 times more than the FBI's. The bill heads to the House and has drawn opposition from fiscal conservatives who are furious over projections that the Senate package would add $3.3 trillion, as another chatter put it, to the deficit over the next decade, as the CBO said in its estimate. I mean, this is just truly like disgusting stuff, because it provides hundreds of billions of dollars to this Gestapo, and broadening the amount of concentration camps and the amount of people this is only going to get worse, folks. Okay, it's not, this only gets worse if they're allowed to do this. What's stopping them from going even further? I mean, the path is being set to take us in a very bad place, worse than it already is. We have people dying in these concentration camps. They're not even pretending to plan for the future. This is a smash and grab. Yeah, because they feel like there's no reason, right? Like, why? Who cares? Who's going to stop us? I spending now more higher than country's military spending. Yep. If the Dems do nothing to stop it, as usual, the GOP will rinse and repeat. Yep. So again, I replay the exact...
Political centrism, the settled beliefs known for its success back in 1930s Europe, whose proponents were rewarded for their political acumen after a few years by getting to be the smuggest people in the concentration camp. Did you know that Hitler has lied on average about 10 times a day for the past 5 years? We know. We fact-checked him. How do you respond to that? Yeah, that's very nice. Please step into the chamber now. Fast forward 100 years and the political center around the Western world is once again dying.
Yep. They'll keep going until they unless they find a stopping point that forces them to stop. Yeah, like not can you please stop, like an actual force. Trump just brought up deporting citizens again, and this time it wasn't a hot mic. Yep. Like that there's no more that they will live forever. I mean, they feel like that because there's nothing stopping them, right? They feel like that because there's nothing stopping them. To what Mono was talking about earlier, alligator lives matter. The good news is alligators are guaranteed to at least 65 million meals if we get started now. So this is alluding to the entire Latino population is 65 million. That's like extermination. Like what she's saying is we should just move into the extermination part of this timeline. And that's not a number that she arrived at by coincidence. El Norte recuerda, the North remembers, is correct. This was in 2022. 2021, there was 62. Currently, I believe it was based on Google AI. In 2023, there was about 65 million. It's roughly about the number of Latino people that live in the United States. The implication here, and by the way, Laura Loomer is someone who does have the president's ear. This is someone that does have the president's ear. She's not just some random fringe lunatic. This is someone who has had talks with the president of the United States. We have a duty to stop this. Yep. Just like with Gaza, something sort needs to stop this fascist one in the same fashion who are genociding Palestine. I mean, yeah, fascist. Right? Like, fascism is, yes, it's right. Fascism inevitably ends at genocide. U.S. can't even successfully end a rover on the moon. Meanwhile, China's sending rovers to the dark side of the moon and then flying samples back. There's a political scientist called Jiang Queen. I can't pronounce that. Who's on YouTube. He explains how empires are prone to hubris, which means they think they're gods. Yep. If you turn on the lights, off and say Laura Loomer 3 times in the mirror, she'll appear behind you and yell the N-word. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I believe it. Don't need to summon that. So this number is not a coincidence. She picked that number on purpose. We're no longer talking about... We're no longer pretending, okay? That this is about anything regarding crime, about criminals, about anything like that. We can just dispense with that because this is not a mistake. This is not a mistake. She didn't pick that number out of nowhere. We are now in moving into the we actually do just want to start extermination. We just actually want to start the extermination phase. So we can just dispense with this idea. This is about anything else, anything less. Remember, every day is STFU day. Yep. This channel is called Predictive History, and he predicted how the Iran situation would play out, and he's mostly right. Cool, I gotta check that out. The fact that she either knew that or Googled it for that post is just pathetic and sad. I mean, it's to send that message, really. Because I didn't know that. But even if she just Googled it, the point is she took the effort to make that point. This is a goal. This is a well, I don't know about promise, but this is a goal. That's the goal here, extermination. Alligator Lives, it's a sick bit. Yeah, which also is kind of a playing on the All Lives Matter, the ALM movement, which was in response the white supremacist movement in response to Black Lives Matter. It's also kind of a little shout out to that. If I'm being completely honest, I think that it's also not lost upon me that also those make the same ALM abbreviations, or what is it? Is it abbreviations? Whatever the word for that. It does not. It does also not escape me that it just happens to also align with all lives matter as well. He predicted Trump's re-election, but he did think Nikki Haley would be VP. Very scary stuff, folks. It's not a coincidence. This is all on purpose. It's not hyperbole to say that she totally means what she's saying. And what she's saying is that we should move to the extermination phase of this fascist train. Lord Loomer isn't allowed to eat Mexican food. I wish that was a rule. Predictive History's video called How the Empire is Destroying America is also pretty banging. Acrostic. Initials, yeah. The story's really pissing me off. It should. No, none of this is good. None of this is good. It should make you angry. Again, the goal is to, yes, should make you angry. Now let's channel that and do something about it. Laura can't be racist. Her hairdresser is Jamaican. Almost a true story. All right, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. It's just a little after 7 o'clock. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you guys being here. And thank you for your support. Thank you for the biddies heat. Mayhem Hippie. Thank you for the biddies and the subscription. Your support is what makes this channel go. I appreciate it. Thank you all for your support. We are here Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays here on Twitch and on YouTube. I always forget Twitch is in chat. They are. They're always here. They're always watching. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store. Hit ! Tip. Sub to the Substack. Join the Discord, folks. Thank you, Heath. Thank you, Michael Hessler, for modding the chat. This space is live. Yes, it is. And if you can also do me a solid, folks, check out this space, a working class media collective. We stream Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. There's a variety of content, folks. There is something for everyone, okay? Not everything is 100% news. There's fantastic shows that is being put together by a lot of different kinds of wonderful creators. Of different subjects, too. Some of it being art, some of it being music. So definitely check out this space. There is something for everyone, I can guarantee it. And your support is greatly appreciated. I wouldn't want to be Laura Loomer's hairdresser or the person who has to get her into her tighten her human skin every morning. Yep. Yeah, wear your fancy lace. That's the time. Appreciate the support, folks. We're getting out of here. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back tomorrow around 5 p.m. Eastern time. Spread the word. Spread the word, folks. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow around 5 p.m. Eastern time. And check out this space. If you're on YouTube, head on over. See ya! Thank you. Thank you, Ground Level News. Thank you, everyone. Celosia Pigeon, thank you. Yeah, raid this space. Looney Tunes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the link is right there. Right there in chat, folks. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.